Welcome back to Galaxy Recaps. Today we'll be diving into an action thriller film titled War. Enjoy the recap. In San Francisco, FBI agents John Crawford and Tom Lone find themselves in a tense standoff at a dock warehouse. Inside, chaos unfolds as Chinese triads exchange gunfire with unknown assailants. The agents take a moment to steel themselves before jumping into action, guns drawn. As they move through the scene littered with lifeless bodies, Crawford picks up a bullet casing, his gut telling him something is off. Before he can react, Tom is already deep into the fray, exchanging gunfire with the criminals. Crawford joins the fight and spots a man executing another, but the killer escapes before he can take him down. As the firefight intensifies, Crawford is shot in the shoulder, his life flashing before his eyes. Just as his attacker prepares to finish him, a bullet strikes the gunman in the face, sending him into the water. Tom saves Crawford, but the duo soon realize the scale of the mess they're dealing with. Crawford reveals that the Yakuza hired a notorious assassin, Rogue, to eliminate the triads. Ironically, Rogue had previously betrayed the CIA, killing 5 agents. Crawford shows Tom Rogue's signature titanium bullets, a grim calling card of the elusive killer. When the police arrive, the 2 agents flash their FBI badges and leave the scene. Days later, Tom enjoys a quiet evening at home with his wife and daughter. He takes a call from Crawford, who promises to join him for a game later that night. However, their peaceful moment is shattered when a man pulls up outside Tom's house, gun in hand. The intruder bursts in, overpowering Tom's wife before brutally shooting Tom. He coldly forces Tom's family into a room, murders them, and sets the house ablaze. Crawford is jolted awake by his wife as flashing police lights illuminate their home. Rushing to the scene, he learns of 3 fatalities and is devastated when he recognizes Tom's burned body. As he searches for clues, Crawford finds the same distinct shell casing left behind by Rogue, solidifying his resolve for vengeance. 3 years later, a sleek Spiker C8 rolls up to a club, and Rogue steps out, exuding confidence. Inside, he wastes no time, slaughtering 2 guards and gunning down Yakuza members in a brutal display of skill. When the Yakuza retaliate, emptying their magazines at him, Rogue uses a clever trick: a dog carrying explosives. The room erupts in a fiery explosion. One surviving Yakuza member accuses Rogue of betrayal, but Rogue eliminates him with cold precision. The massacre leaves a grim crime scene for the police. Crawford, now consumed by his quest for justice, arrives with fellow Agent Wick. Not John Wick, or this movie would end in a flash. A surviving Yakuza member, badly injured, reveals that Rogue was responsible for the attack. Crawford's obsession with catching Rogue only deepens, leading to dark dreams of vengeance and the haunting memory of Tom's murder. Awakened by a call from his estranged wife Jenny, Crawford hears her plea for him to attend their son's basketball game. But when he mentions finding Tom's killer, Jenny coldly reminds him that his obsession cost them their marriage, leaving Crawford alone with his unrelenting mission. Crawford heads to FBI headquarters, where the team gathers to discuss the Rogue case. Alongside Crawford are sniper specialist Goy and another agent, Maria. They analyze the situation, concluding that Rogue has betrayed the Yakuza and their leader, Shiro. Meanwhile, the triads, led by the ruthless Chong, also seem to be in Rogue's crosshairs. Stuck between these 2 powerful crime syndicates, Rogue is playing a dangerous game. Rogue arms himself and makes his way to Chong's mansion in California. Chong greets him warmly, introducing his wife and commending Rogue for his recent assassinations of Yakuza members. During their conversation, Chong emphasizes loyalty, but Rogue coldly asserts that he bows to no one. As Rogue leaves to complete his mission, Chong discreetly orders 2 of his men to tail him. Across the ocean in Japan, Shiro is training with his katana, dueling a younger fighter. The young man lands a strike on Shiro but immediately begs for forgiveness. Shiro, ever calculating, reassures the boy before delivering a deadly blow, asserting his dominance. He then walks off with his daughter Kira, discussing a shipment of horses being sent to San Francisco. Though cryptic, it's clear these horses are more than they seem. Distrusting his men, Shiro instructs Kira to oversee the shipment personally, and she sets off to handle the task. Meanwhile, Crawford ventures into an underground fighting club to meet with an informant named Benny. In a back room, Benny reveals some disturbing details about Rogue. He explains that several individuals linked to Rogue, such as a bullet manufacturer and 2 facial reconstruction experts, have all turned up dead under suspicious circumstances. A 3rd surgeon is currently missing. This leads Crawford to suspect Rogue is eliminating anyone who knows too much. The scene shifts to the triads, who are seen paying off a contact. The mysterious horses are finally revealed as they're loaded onto trucks. Surprisingly, these horses are real, crafted from pure gold. Just as the convoy sets off, a swarm of police officers intercepts the trucks, ordering the drivers out. The Yakuza comply, standing against a fence as the corrupt police captain arrives to claim his bribe. After securing the money, the captain assures the Yakuza everything is fine, but then chaos erupts. The triads ambush the convoy, hijacking the trucks, while Rogue observes from a safe distance. The operation is flawless, and the truck's contents are quickly inspected. Sure enough, the golden horses are intact, a treasure worth the risk. Rogue collects his reward, a hefty sum of cash, before slipping away. Shortly after, Crawford and his team arrive at the dock to find a grim scene of dead Yakuza members. Assessing the situation, Crawford deduces that this was a meticulously planned heist. He remarks that the only thing capable of disarming the Yakuza so easily would be the police, or someone pretending to be them. The next day, the FBI team gathers at a local restaurant, where Crawford confronts the corrupt police captain. Tensions boil over as Crawford drags him into the bathroom and delivers a brutal interrogation. The terrified captain reveals he was coerced into aiding the criminals under threats to his family, especially his children. Before they can escort him to safety, a sniper's bullet pierces the captain's chest, ending his confession abruptly. Rogue, lurking nearby, ditches the gun and takes off. Crawford, fueled by years of rage and vengeance, chases after Rogue with unrelenting determination. The pursuit turns into a chaotic parkour chase through the city. At one point, Crawford manages to force Rogue through a window, but the elusive assassin vanishes within seconds, leaving Crawford seething with frustration. Meanwhile, at the Yakuza headquarters in San Francisco, Shiro's daughter Kira makes her move. She strides into the office of the two top bosses, asserting her authority and making it crystal clear that she's in charge now. Her cold and calculated demeanor leaves no room for doubt. Kira is a force to be reckoned with. The following day, Crawford receives a cryptic call from Rogue, his voice disguised. For reasons unknown, Rogue provides Crawford with the location of the stolen shipment before abruptly ending the call. Acting on this tip, the FBI storms Chong's warehouse alongside the police. Armed with a warrant, they demand access, and Chong, reluctant but composed, orders his men to comply. Inside, the team finds a single man standing in the shadows, Rogue, now going by the alias Victor Shaw. Crawford circles him, piecing together the clues. Recognizing Rogue's eyes, he mentions the surgeon who must have reconstructed his face. Rogue remains silent, even as Crawford accuses him of murdering his friend's family. With no solid evidence and the warehouse cleared, the FBI has no choice but to let him go. Before leaving, Crawford snaps a photo of the infamous assassin. Back at Chong's mansion, the crime boss congratulates Rogue on successfully hiding the stolen vehicles before the police arrived, unaware that it was Rogue who tipped them off. Meanwhile, Crawford, still consumed by grief and anger over the loss of his friend and his family, channels his frustration into a burst of aggression, his obsession growing deeper. A few days later, Rogue is seen at Chong's estate, casually toying with his gun as Chong's young daughter plays nearby. Her mother intervenes, warning Rogue to keep business and family separate. Rogue's enigmatic demeanor remains unshaken. That evening, chaos erupts in the Triad district. A Yakuza biker arrives, causing a commotion that lures the Triads into an ambush. As the Triads chase the mysterious rider into Yakuza territory, tensions explode into an all-out war between the two syndicates. Rogue watches from a distance, his face revealing a sinister satisfaction as the criminal organizations tear each other apart. Amid the carnage, Rogue eventually joins the fray, unleashing his lethal skills. He corners the last remaining Triad member, prolonging the encounter like a predator toying with its prey. Despite his twisted sense of amusement, Rogue ultimately delivers the fatal blow, ending the bloodbath on his own terms. The following day, the FBI arrives at the scene of a grisly massacre between the Yakuza and the Triads. The devastation leaves only one word in everyone's minds: war. Meanwhile, Chong gathers his men and gives them strict orders not to retaliate, warning that any further violence could cost them everything. He entrusts Rogue with ensuring the safety of his wife and daughter during the escalating conflict. Rogue, always calculating, approaches Chong's second-in-command, whose brother he had killed. He hands him a matchbox containing the location of a Yakuza safe house, a dangerous move designed to sow further chaos. At the safe house, the Yakuza hold a meeting, laughing and relaxing as they discuss their plans. Unknown to them, the FBI is staking out the location, watching every move. The tension rises when Triad members, defying Chong's orders, storm the tea house in a brutal attack. Gunfire erupts as the Triads shoot through the paper walls, cutting down most of the Yakuza inside. The firefight intensifies when FBI agents engage the remaining Triads and Yakuza, transforming the tea house into a war zone. Crawford and Wick breach the tea house, taking control of the chaotic scene. The FBI manages to corner the remaining Triads at gunpoint, preparing to arrest them. But suddenly, chaos erupts again as Rogue emerges from the shadows, systematically taking out Triads one by one. This distraction gives the surviving triads an opening to fight back and attempt an escape. Amid the chaos, Maria flees for her life. Wick is shot, and Crawford finds himself overwhelmed but refuses to back down. Using his agility and combat skills, he fights off wave after wave of attackers, clearing the tea house room by room. Crawford eventually finds the last Yakuza member wounded and trying to hide. Without hesitation, he shoots him dead. As Crawford exits the tea house, he spots Rogue speeding away in a car. Determined to end the chase once and for all, Crawford jumps into his vehicle, tearing through the streets in pursuit. The two weave through traffic in a high-speed chase, Rogue clearly enjoying the thrill while Crawford remains laser-focused on justice. But fate intervenes. Crawford's car crashes spectacularly, leaving him stranded as Rogue vanishes into the distance. The next day, Rogue contacts Chong, informing him that his men disobeyed orders and were killed in the process. Rogue feigns regret, claiming he tried to stop them but couldn't. The truth, however, is much darker. Rogue is now working with the Yakuza. Shiro orders him to assassinate Chong as well as his wife and child, though Rogue shows hesitation at the task. Meanwhile, Jenny confronts Crawford at home, furious about the armed men stationed outside their house. She chastises him for his relentless obsession, warning that it's putting everyone in danger. The argument leaves Crawford emotionally drained, but before he can reflect, Benny calls with critical intel. The third plastic surgeon has been found in Mexico. Within hours, Crawford and Benny track down the surgeon, cornering him at gunpoint. Terrified, the surgeon explains that he reconstructed Rogue's face after it was nearly destroyed, repairing muscles, nerves, and bones. He provides confirmation. This is indeed the man they've been hunting all along. Back at Chong's mansion, unaware of the betrayal unfolding around him, Chong prepares his family to leave for safety. But danger is already at his doorstep. A ninja-like assassin infiltrates the property, cloaked in darkness and ready to strike. At Chong's mansion, chaos erupts as Chong clears out his drawers preparing to leave. His right-hand man storms in, gun drawn, accusing him of being a traitor. The confrontation escalates into a gunfight, but Rogue enters and swiftly disarms the attacker, subduing him. As Chong tries to make sense of the situation, Rogue delivers a chilling line. He was right. Without hesitation, Rogue pulls the trigger, killing Chong. Simultaneously, Yakuza operatives outside launch a coordinated attack, killing all of Chong's guards. The massacre is reported to Crawford, who immediately starts piecing together Rogue's twisted plan. Inside the mansion, Rogue finds Chong's wife and daughter. Gunshots ring out, but the truth soon becomes clear. Rogue has spared them, keeping his earlier promise to protect them. As the Yakuza demand proof of their deaths, Rogue kills the man making the demand and dispatches the others in a flurry of precision and brutality. He then escorts Chong's wife and daughter to a car, ensuring their escape before returning to his mission. Crawford learns that Rogue has been manipulating both the Yakuza and the Triads, playing them against each other to devastating effect. The stakes rise even higher as Shiro arrives in town, bringing his daughter Kira along. Concerned for her safety, he orders her to prepare to return to Japan. Crawford intercepts Shiro, welcoming him to America in his usual sarcastic tone. He confronts the Yakuza leader with photos of Rogue slicing through his own comrades and demands answers about his involvement. Shiro feigns ignorance, and Crawford, left with no evidence, walks away frustrated. The next day, Rogue arrives at Shiro's headquarters carrying 2 suitcases. This marks their first face-to-face meeting. Rogue presents Shiro with the golden horses, a symbol of wealth and power, but Shiro isn't entirely convinced. In return, Shiro hands Rogue a suitcase filled with cash and a folder containing damning photos of Rogue's supposed betrayal. The tension escalates when Shiro gives the order to interrogate Rogue for the location of Chong's wife and daughter. In a dramatic reveal, Shiro smashes the golden horses, exposing them as fakes. Chaos ensues as Rogue, already prepared for treachery, strikes. He eliminates one of his escorts swiftly, while the second proves to be a formidable opponent. After an intense struggle, Rogue prevails, killing both men. As Shiro descends the stairs, a bomb detonates, stunning him and his guards. Rogue uses the distraction to his advantage, expertly firing 4 bullets to take down 4 Yakuza operatives with surgical precision. Left alone with Shiro, the confrontation becomes personal. Shiro, injured but determined, grabs a katana while Rogue holsters his gun and picks up a blade of his own. Shiro, breathing heavily, asks the burning question, "After all this time, why betray me now?" The room falls silent as the deadly showdown between 2 masters begins. Rogue finally reveals the reason behind his betrayal. A very specific hit ordered by Shiro 3 years ago. The two clash in an intense duel, swords flashing as they trade deadly blows. Rogue dominates the fight, throwing Shiro around like a rag doll and pinning him at knife point. With venom in his voice, Rogue tells Shiro he should have left the wife and daughter alone. Shiro, refusing to concede, fights back and the duel continues with both men sustaining injuries to their arms. As the battle rages, Rogue begins to unravel the truth. He reveals that during their encounter years ago, Tom Lone had managed to escape Rogue's grasp. In the ensuing fight, Rogue was killed, but Tom used this opportunity to stage his own death. He shot Rogue in the face and later had his own face surgically altered, changing his appearance and voice to assume the identity of the assassin. For 3 years, Rogue was Tom all along, orchestrating every move to find and kill Shiro as revenge for the murder of his wife and daughter. Shiro, bloodied but unbroken, reveals a shocking twist. The person who provided the intelligence leading to Tom's family's death wasn't random, it was Crawford. Fueled by rage and heartbreak, Tom delivers the final blow, killing Shiro. Standing over the body, Tom's mind fills with the haunting memory of his lost family. The next day, Chong's wife receives a package. Inside is a golden horse and a note encouraging her to start a new life. Kira also receives a package, but inside is the lifeless body of her father, Shiro, along with a similar note. The sight sends her into shock, marking the brutal conclusion of the Yakuza leader's reign. Tom, now fully embodying the persona of Rogue, calls Crawford. He tells him to meet at the same dock where they first worked together. Crawford, confused but determined, brings his sniper along as backup. Arriving at the dock, Crawford calls out for Rogue. Instead, he is ambushed, quickly disarmed, and drawn into a brutal hand-to-hand fight. The two former friends move with lightning speed, grappling, swinging shovels, and exchanging blows. Crawford manages to pin Tom in a chokehold and demands to know why. "What did Shiro promise you for the life of my wife and daughter?" Tom's anguished voice breaks through, and the truth hits Crawford like a truck. Rogue is Tom. Looking into his old friend's eyes, Crawford recognizes the truth. Both men crash through a window, falling into the chaos outside. The sniper, unable to get a clear shot, finally positions himself. Just as he prepares to fire at Tom, Crawford leaps into the bullet's path, sacrificing himself to protect his old friend. Tom holds Crawford in his arms as he dies, whispering that he never imagined his hunt for justice would lead back to his best friend. Sometime later, Tom, now fully Rogue, drives down a lonely highway, the second golden horse in the passenger seat. His past may be behind him, but his road stretches ahead, filled with uncertainty and solitude. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.